Hello. Hello, I think everything's working. Jackson, X-Flow. How are you two doing? Well, right back with the meows. Now let's keep it to some tasteful meows today. I'm cool with the occasional meow as long as we don't spam the chat, but I know you can do that. Little brother's bed broke, so I had to disassemble it. Now the frame is resting on the ground. for the last like 6 years, every time my sister is moved, when she has a bed, and when she got the bed, I put it together for the first time. And then when she moved, I came and took it apart and then put it back together in the new place. And now I've done that like 4 times. It's not that hard to do. I just have become the guy who knows how to put the bed back together. So that may be a permanent role for me. What about fit? Really, whatever it is. Whatever noises. Just... We just don't want to fill up the chat too much so other people can, you know, talk. It's not really a big deal. Just want to make sure that we're not going too crazy. Unless something really deserves it. Where's Sunny? I don't know. Maybe Sunny will pop in. Till then, still no big plans today. Just kind of going to do what feels right. Forgot what her name was. I think I missed the stream where she was born, related to Funry. This one is Funry. The other one had a name. But last stream on Saturday, we were just changing some things with her design, with Funry's look, to make her more, I don't know, defined. So I was still just gonna explore with that. Did Funry get her name? A kind of a weird story. There's a fighting game called Corrupt on Steam, and in Corrupt, all the characters in it on the Steam page, they had their names in different fonts, and there's one character called Winry, but Winry, I thought the way that the font looked was weird, so I thought it said Wonry. I was like, well, that's a stupid name. But then I thought Funry, because Funry is really close to funny, but it's a little bit different. So, yeah, shoutouts to Corrupt. And then I just sat on the name for a while because I liked it, and then I was just sort of drawing her, and she got the name. Yeah, her eyes are a little wider apart. Yeah, her eyes are the main thing that I was kind of playing with. And I like this thing that we have going on, this rhythm with the not connecting the lines here. I probably have these. It's like, this is kind of what I was doing with the eyes before. Which is fine. But I wanted to experiment. I'm using the stream preview to navigate my Clip Studio, which is a weird choice. But I'm experimenting with these eyes that feel a little bit less, I don't know. They're really similar, and you can, like, connecting both halves of the eyes, you can really do anything with it. But having them be a little bit disconnected, and you sort of create the eye by making the two lines and filling it in between, it just felt a little bit more freeing to me. But I have some things with her hair that I'm still not sure about. Namely, I wanted to play with these things. I guess while we're at it, we could go for this angle. Right now I'm kind of just mirroring the hair. I don't know if I actually want to do that. She's a cartoon character, so we do have the right, really, to mirror her hair when she turns. Do I want to do that? I don't know. Maybe. That's why we're experimenting. Okay, let me move this over here. We need Sunny. Sunny had great energy. I would like it if they showed up. But we're early on, who knows who will show. In the meantime... See, I haven't been up to too much new in the couple days that I've been streamed. I remember seeing Paragore recently doing a little experiment with their style where they were making a design with maximum appeal, and part of it did have to do with changing the look of the eyes. Yeah, subtle changes really make a gigantic difference. I think a lot of it is stuff that isn't like objective in any way. Most things in art aren't objective. But really it's just, I don't know, just something about the feel. It might even less be the end look and more just the feel that I have when I do it. But like these... I mean, there's certainly a difference. Yes, neither of these are particularly appealing eyes, but I don't know. I'm not smart enough to try to explain everything with art. I just know that it's fun to just try different things. And like, a lot of the inspiration I've had for trying to capture eyes in a round shape is just because of other artists that I see doing that. Like a lot of stuff in Scott Pilgrim, there's a lot of eyes that are just one full shape. But then I just read Seconds over, I just finished reading it for the weekend, and in that one pretty much all the eyes, unless it's like the eyes he draws as a full shape like this for more extreme expressions, but the vast majority of the time he has them broken up into two segments. So I just thought, hey, I might as well try that. Let's see, even though I want to do a little bit of hair experimenting, I do want to give her a bit of a different expression. So I guess we could just try to do like a sort of a happy face. It's a character whose face you really like. And you mentioned liking My Hero Academia. I've always loved Sue's face. Sue is such a cool character. I really am inspired by a lot of work there, and mostly how stuff like Sue, whose face and eyes are so different, and Mirio, who's just got he's got like a Lego man face, but they still feel connected with the world, even though other characters like Todoroki look much more like typical anime dude. And I don't exactly know how you pull that off, how you make everything look cohesive even when it's so different, but yeah, Mirio does look like Tintin. Tintin is such a great character design, man. they've got good faces. If I'm talking about Brian Lee O'Malley stuff, Kim Pine in Scott Pilgrim. Kim has she's one of the most interesting characters to me there, just with the way that I don't know, she's just a very complicated character. She's got so much going on with her. She's like kind of mean, but she's also I feel like she like gives off mean tomboyish energy, but she's like, and she definitely has that, but it's not really her overall. I don't know. She's cool. I think her eyes do a lot with that. Speaking of the anime, Momo from Dandadan has a well-made face. Yeah, the Dandadan characters are so cool looking. I forget what the artist's name is, but Dandadan has a extremely distinct style, which is also one of the things I like about My Hero, is that it is just so distinct. It's so unmistakable for anything else. I think Dandadan is, even on like a background character, it's very recognizable from just a screenshot. Also in Scott Pilgrim, Knives, especially in the later books, the way that Knives' face develops and her eyes, they just become like big black dots, but she also looks like she is in there. She looks like she belongs in the world. Yeah, Tatsu. I know that. I feel like Tatsu is always the name that I hear. I never would have been able to pull up that first name, but I'm trying to think of other characters that have good faces. There's a lot of characters with good faces out there. I love every face that Max Saren has ever drew. Like, let me pull up something. Sure. This is a page from The Great British Bump Off by John Allison and artist Max Saren. And look at the way that Max Saren draws faces is so cool. Like, look at her here. The expressions, everything. You guys should check out anything that Max Saren has ever put a pen to, because it is all a joy. So cool. There's definitely, especially in certain eras of my work, there are some times where it's extremely obvious when I'm just trying to do exactly what Max Saren would do. They are probably my favorite working artist right now. Also, if you look at Max Aaron stuff, you read Wicked Things, which is one of my favorite things that that duo has done. The main character in Wicked Things, Lottie, she's got big old hair bun that I definitely, when I designed her, I was reading Wicked Things. So there's definitely a lot of her energy is taken from that book. How do I want to... Neko's in the chat. How's it going, Neko? How do I want to do this little smile? Probably something simple. The objective today is not have too much of an objective. Still just playing around with my characters. Probably just funnery, but I do have some things I want to mess with for our friend Drill Freely. But there's still some stuff with her hair that I don't have figured out. Pretty good, you? I am doing pretty good. Not too many crazy developments. This is slightly thicker eyebrows or something that I only started doing last stream. They're not crazy. They're not like, what's the one guy in Fully Cooley who has eyebrows? If you've seen it, you know the one. They're not super defining like that. But usually I just do thin lines, so... This is a bit of a change. Oh, he's got seaweed? Yeah. Yeah, I knew they were... I can't... It's been probably 6 years since I've watched Fully Cooley. I do love it. But those little specifics... It pops in an unsubtle way. Yeah, I feel like she didn't have a ton. Part of her thing is that she's kind of normal. I don't think she'll have a ton of like super defining features that set her apart. But I think if she's got this big stupid hair, and she's got just something kind of defining on her face, even if it's as simple as slightly thicker eyebrows. I think that'll make her stand out a bit more. You ever purposely set out to make a new original character, like with the hopes of having your own cast someday, or they just kind of happen by chance over the years? Most of the time it's by chance. I just doodle something and it happens to turn into something that I draw a second time. There are times where I've set out to make something on purpose. Like Funry kind of came together on purpose. She wasn't like a character with a name or an identity when I first made her, but I wanted to try to create a character that I wanted to draw over and over. So she does just have a lot of simple ideas that I like in a character, so that I could just make something that was fun for me to repeat. But most of my characters came out of nothing for no reason, and a lot of them are kind of abandoned because nowadays, because I kind of have a world that I want to make. Every time I make a character, ideally I would want to be able to put them into the cast of a world that I'm trying to create. So I think I've switched over recently now that I have more of a what would you call it? More of a goal. I don't really draw my past characters because they just don't fit into anything. And I appreciate them, and they had their fans while I was drawing them. I used to be a lot more of a original character artist. But now, I don't know. If I was drawing them, I would just be drawing them for the people on Twitter and stuff who liked them before. And I don't have any ideas for them. And sometimes I do draw them just for people on Twitter who remember them, because I do appreciate that. Alright, another thing that was a focus for my Saturday stream was this little idea here of just having this point on her scalp where her hair flows into. Like if you take her hair, I'll use a red pen just for emphasis. You take her hair, it's all actually big chunks that all flow into the same origin point. And then ideally having big ideas of shapes like this. These all come here, and this all goes back and flows into wherever her hair is tied back here. And then this bun all flows into this. Then ideally I can take that, and when I'm drawing it in different angles in 3D, I have reference points where I can remember these shapes and put them all into the same spot. So if I'm like drawing from above, I just have to know this point and this point where the bun would be, and I know everything flows here. I know that all the shapes from up here, one of them goes out, and there's these big things here, and those same origin point up on the scalp, but they hang off. I drew all this on the same layer, so I have to undo. But that means I got to keep doing that. Stay consistent. That's the whole idea, right? I'm just trying to figure out how to consistently make Funry work. Yeah, so this, the way her hair flows over is that these are all going decidedly outward. And then there's this chunk that comes over the face again, and this part of the hair goes into that. But I am realizing my whole plan today was to, or with this right now, was to try to explore what this looked like if it wasn't just mirrored like a cartoon character. If I was to try and actually move the hair so that it's somewhat consistent, like it was a 3D model, how could that look? We're actually going to do that. How expressive is Funry? Are they a jolly person, subdued, or a third option? I don't know. Funry, the idea of her and what makes her interesting is that she's very normal in a world that is not particularly normal. And she's got a crazy life and a crazy job, and her world has a lot of weird science fantasy elements to it, but she's kind of just like a normal person who reacts to it all as if she was like a server at a minimum wage job. So I don't know, I don't think she has like a strict one word to describe her personality. She's like a generally nice person, but she also is someone who definitely would get frustrated with people who would you know, I mean, she reacts to things normally. She's a nice person, but she gets mad. She gets passive aggressive and sarcastic. I don't know. It's hard to put into words because it is just kind of describing how most people are. So is she like a sociopath? No, she's not a sociopath. It's more she reacts in a way that's off for her situation as a more as like a comedic piece than a actual commentary or I don't know, anything more complicated than just being it's funny that she doesn't react to things normally. Okay, I've literally never thought about this whole stupid thing, but on the other side of the head. As she reacts like a normal person would in a bizarre situation, but the whole context of the world around her has it so bizarre that it seems normal. Yeah, a lot of stuff that is crazy, she reacts to very normally. So she's used to how wacky the world she's in is, but she's not like ignorant to, or she's not immune to getting annoyed or being bored or getting angry or getting excited. It's just her ordinary is a little bit more out there than most people. And then she has other people in her life who do think it's weird that she treats her crazy, it's weird job like a normal person. Kind of her entire story is based on this idea, so it's hard for me to explain all my thoughts there without just telling a story, you know? Okay, let's start over here. the hair part is way over to the side. So instead of being here, it'd be way over here. So then this piece of the hair would just be one thing coming out over here. And then the rest of it would come this way and just sort of just be a little bit more of a loop back around to the top of her head rather than this being kind of a straight shot. Again, I'm experimenting right now, so nothing I'm saying is a fact of how character design works or how anything at all works, really. I'm just testing things out. And I say it out loud because then you guys know a little bit more of what I'm thinking. Even if I'm not the greatest at conveying it. I should try to get a basic story. I have the first little comic I want to make with her, just to introduce her, is she goes out with a friend to get coffee, and she's complaining about how she has to go away on a work thing for the weekend, but she just acts she treats it like it's a normal work getaway thing, but actually she's going, if it's setting up for this game, she's going to investigate some werewolf problem on the moon with Drell. Again, it's like it's silly world that I don't know how to explain easily. But there's like this whole thing with werewolves on the moon and how they never turn back into humans because they're on the moon all the time. And but she treats it like it's just kind of annoying because it'll take time and not because it's werewolves. And her friend reacts more normally to that, but she doesn't. And it's just like a little moment of a story that doesn't go into the adventure, but it's just like that juxtaposition of how a normal person in her life would react and how she does. And once I can do that, I think it'll be a little more easy to explain who she is and how she works. So I'll try to do that. Until then, you guys know better than most people what she's up to. She's got a good head shape. Thank you. Head shape is something I think about a lot. There's a lot you can do with it, and I think there's also, it's very easy to get stuck on how you draw a character's head and just make it like, well, this is the way that I draw heads. Like you learn your Loomis head, and then it's like, okay, well, every head I have to draw like that now. But so it's very freeing when you're able to just turn anything into a head. You can do any shape you want. You can make a real long head. You can make a head with a big chin. You can make a head out of anything. I was like, our ear sticks out, very charming. Reminds me of Ashley Graham's Funny Ears from Resident Evil 4. If I can ever stick a character's ears out of their hair, I always tend to do it. Because, I feel like it's one of the more recognizable things in my style. It's just that I got big ears on everybody. So, especially on my main character like this, he's gonna have big ears that you can see all the time. Alright, this is the idea I wanted to try with whatever you call these things. Just smaller ones that fluff out a little bit more. But does this one, should it stick in or should it puff out a bit? Guess maybe you probably incepted me into commissioning you to draw Ashley. You know what? Maybe I did. Maybe that's my whole plan. I think it's the only time I was commissioned to draw Ashley. So if that is my plan, it's not been working super well, but it's funny you have minor scars from her job. Maybe. That's a good idea. I haven't really thought about that. I think she probably wouldn't have like visible scars most of the time, but I do feel like it would work with her character that like on the surface she just looks normal, but then maybe on her back or something, or somewhere that's usually covered, she has a big crazy scar from something that she talks about like it's a funny story, even though it's actually really scary. That's a pretty good idea. I'll say it. Alright, now these shapes are definitely a bit different. Struggling to really imagine how it wraps around. Do a lot by just having a small cut in one of her eyebrows. It's always a good touch. I could do that. And with how I made her eyebrows thicker, it already brings some attention there. Honestly, one of the best ways to figure out this process of trying to mirror this hair is probably just trying to make a 3D model out of it. If you look up concept art to a lot of like Pixar movies or any animated movie, you will find a lot of physical statues as a big part of character design. A lot of time for 3D animated projects, but for 2D animated projects too. Having a physical version of a cartoon character is really helpful for figuring out how you position them in 3D space. I also had a thought of her hair being up, but then there being still a bit of loose hair. this is not well thought through loose hair, of where it's like the full shape, where it's coming from, where it's going. But consider this just a test. Then I do think if she has loose hair and it's not all tied up, the bun probably wouldn't be as gigantic because there's just less hair there. I don't know if that's something I want to do. I don't know if she needs more going on or just keeping it simpler is better, but you can let me know if you have an opinion on it. If you don't have an opinion on it, you don't have to tell me anything. I like this kind of. I really appreciated about how Brian Lee O'Malley drew his characters is how he wasn't afraid to change their styles. Ramona and Knives didn't look the same through the whole story. Yeah, he definitely changed, especially Knives. Knives changed completely, but he didn't make a big deal about it, so every book, her having a slightly different character design is just normal. Like, Ramona changed her hair and style a lot, like in canon, which is one thing, but Knives, just the way that he drew Knives changed all the time. So, I mean, she could just have this as a option, although I think this much hair does not match this much hair. I think even if she was only letting half of it down, it would still be longer than this. Would you still be willing to try the half ponytail? It's like a small commitment to both. Yeah, we can experiment with that. We want to keep shapes consistent. We want to repeat some of these big, soft wedges. You got to keep the ideas consistent so that when a character has different hairstyles, it manages to continue to look like them the whole time. I have not done this before on her, so I do have to do some experimentation. Let's see, well, if it's tied more here. I guess that's the thing, is do we want it to be high, or do we want tie back here? It doesn't have to really go that high. Well, that wouldn't be attached right to the side. Although, I mean, that's cute. That is pretty cute, to be fair. I'm trying to figure out how to get just a basic idea of it across, just to see if I like it. And I don't know, it's a little hard to... I do feel like with a ponytail, it's harder to put together that it's the same character. Yeah, for this, I mean, with this here, this is way shorter than what this would entail. I think her hair would be significantly longer. Nice faces, man. Thank you. I work hard on them. Yeah, I think her hair would be something more like, I don't know. How do you even do this? You know, it's draped over her shoulder. Oh, I haven't really drawn a character with super long hair like this in a minute. I forget how you drape hair down. Hey, that's really cute. We could be onto something. And then, I mean, if she was, I think no matter what, unless her hair could be all the way down, but I think if it's up at all, making it into a bun is a good way to keep that part of her silhouette consistent. Even if it changes sizes, because there's, you know, there's less hair put into it. I do think if her hair is longer, then maybe it is better to make these things a bit longer and less fluffy. Bun is iconic at this point. Yeah, if we change the bun, I mean, who even is this anymore? When you are designing a character, if you do feel like, even if something is like the reason you designed them, that it would be better for the character if you changed it, you should change it. But I don't think the bun needs to go. What about smaller twin buns so the silhouette looks kind of like little bear ears? Well, I do like bears. You know I like the bears. I ever talked to you about this? My friend Veronica made this for me a long time ago. She used to do a lot of 3D art stuff. So she made this based on the bear from the end screen. What about braiding a small amount? Most of the hair is out, but the back is a braided ponytail. I could do that. Again, I do kind of like keeping the bun for a while. Just to keep that much consistent. I definitely do want to do a stream sometime of just like noodling around with drawing random characters. That could be background characters or could be whatever. Because we do need to make a lot of things for our tiny little RPG. And then I definitely would appreciate just random ideas that I wouldn't think of from y'all for those. I guess we could just keep this in the back. Alfie the Cool Guy 99. I remember seeing that name. I feel like you were here on Saturday. Or the character's name? Right now, I'm just, even if she looks different, we're just experimenting with this character called Funry. You can remember her name because if you write out funny and then you do that, then it says Funry. But I'm doing a lot of different things with her because I'm just exploring the look and seeing what I can do with it, you know? Yeah, and that little Funry trick with the lowercase n's that was not on purpose. That just sort of came to be, and I thought that was really funny. Very fun, right? I also kind of like Funry as a name because it's not like a real name. And I've always, for whatever reason, I felt, I don't know what the word is, just like awkward talking about characters I made with real human names. And there's no reason for it. I mean, the vast majority of characters in any story I make are gonna have regular names. But, I'm just a generally self-conscious, embarrassed person, so something about her name being completely made up feels more casual. I don't know if that makes any sense. Actually think on this side of her face, this would come over the part that's hanging down. Maybe not that much. What would Funry be allowed to do in your story? I always see sketches of My Hero Academia characters wearing their casual outfits. in the manga, but never in the story. How often would she self-express? I think I would definitely draw her wearing a bunch of different outfits most of the time. I don't think I would ever design like a typical thing that she always wears. I do think she might have a work outfit, something that matches the other main character, Drill Freely, who's like a bigger, more like experienced ex-cop dude. So she'd probably have something to match him, but she would style it differently. So I do think she would not really be stagnant in whatever she wears. I love when characters wear different outfits. It is definitely good to have an iconic look, but I don't know. It's really fun to do different things. I'll say especially for characters with uniforms, it's really fun. Like in My Dress Up Darling, Marin wears a lot of different clothes, but she's got her school uniform that she wears most of the time, which allows, so she has like an iconic, recognizable look, but then a lot of the story she's still allowed to wear whatever she wants. And it's always fun with a superhero that has a superhero costume, and whenever they're not in costume, it's always fun to see what they would wear. So she'll probably have some sort of consistent look with a uniform, and then be wearing whatever in other situations. And you can have your cake and eat it too, with her work outfit being the iconic outfit, and her off the clock outfit. Yeah. That is the nice thing, is that I really can kind of do whatever. After all of this, I think there's definitely some stuff I've picked up on here that I enjoy. But also I do kind of feel like I might just mirror this shape on both sides. But I might just have to play around more with how this actually works. Again, I might have to bust out clay and try to make a physical model. If I do, I will be sure to show you guys. I do like this idea a lot as a alternative hairstyle. I think it would be charming if that little tuft was static. Yeah, that could be good for silhouette too. Ah! Just, you know, something that's always there. Hmm. Would these look more similar if this was a bit thinner? I'm just one of the things I gotta do is make sure that her faces look relatively consistent when she's making different expressions. I think that's a bit better. A bit more similar. It's also to do with the thickness of the upper eyelid. Yeah. Yeah, I like this relationship between the width of the bottom and lower. I think this one feels thin. Maybe that's not bad. Yeah, these kind of look like the same character. It really does take a lot of effort to design a character that looks the same every time you draw them. I do kind of want to do some full body drawing. I'm trying to grasp how normal Funry is. Like, I get reacting casually to something that's clearly not casual, but is she treating it like a 9-to-5, or does she put personality in her job? Let me find this thing that I wrote. Yeah, I wrote out a bunch of ideas of just who she is and how this is less a concrete idea of anything and more just I wanted to write something so that when I went into trying to finalize her design, that it would have a focus point. So I'll just read some of this stuff. Funry, she's just a girl with a job. She likes the job. She likes working with Drell, but she's also excited to go home at the end of the day. She has aspirations of doing something else and doesn't have that passion in mind yet. She's young, so she's not fed up with her life. She's not fed up enough with her life to be upset about it right now, and she's pretty content to go wherever life takes her. But her job is more insane than her attitude about it would convey. She and Drell are odd jobbers. They're capable people that are hired to help with whatever their clients need. Drell is an ex-detective, and he sells himself on his expertise in investigation and experience in dangerous situations. Most of their jobs, due to this reputation, are pretty high profile. Important deliveries, missing people, private investigation, crime solving, namely stuff that is outside of normal police jurisdiction. And Funry is not experienced in that way. She got the job a bit randomly, being one of the few applications Drell actually got when looking for a partner. She has a lot of boring stuff, looking through requests and doing paperwork. She brings a similar energy to that as she does like learning how to fire a gun. She's not bad at her job, and she's not oblivious to the differences between answering emails and shooting a gun, but she comes at it all with the energy of a server at a restaurant. Like, it's a fun, fast-paced work environment, but it does have boring parts in between. She gets scolded for spending too much time on her phone. She brings a good energy to the job, but she also looks forward to going home at the end of the day. So it's like any other job. It's like having a job that you like, but you don't want to be there all the time. That's the energy she puts into it. But Funny herself is a generally upbeat, kind person. She's a good energy most of the time, but she's not bouncing off the walls. She's really casual about most things in her speech and her attitude to the world, but she's not a pushover. She'll complain when she's bored, or she'll make fun of Drell for acting like a weird character who thinks he's in a movie. She can get sarcastic and passive-aggressive when she's upset, and she can be pushed into heated arguments if people get on her bad side. She doesn't have a negative view on her own existence, but she's not naive. She likes to help people, but she's not like completely selfless, that she's always able to put herself aside for others. So, in a lot of words, that does describe a very normal person. A person who's generally kind and generally likes what they do, but also gets upset sometimes and has fairly normal reactions to that. She's not a flawless person, but she's generally good. Would she wear a graphic tee, or is she the type who would never be caught in one? She would definitely wear a graphic tee. So she's literally a character. I don't know how else to describe it. I get the picture. Yeah, she's just normal. And I didn't realize how important it was that she's just sort of regular for a while, but you know, that's sort of the point. Hi, Trio. Main character that's the straight man. Yeah. Except sometimes she's the straight man and kind of in the way. Yeah, I mean, it's a different thing because she's not like a joke character like Frank Drebin is in The Naked Gun. But, you know, Leslie Nielsen in The Naked Gun is really funny because his character just acts like a normal police officer, even though everything is stupid. Did she have a pet or like a favorite animal? Not that I've thought of, but she could. What should she have? I feel like she'd be a dog person, but maybe I'm just a dog person. Do you think she feels... Do you think it'd be better if she had a dog or a cat? We could invent this story right here. I don't have it all figured out, so I am certainly down to invent things as we go. Is she animated when she speaks, or is she minorly expressive? I think she's pretty animated. I think I generally, I haven't done a lot of like exaggerated expression work with her because, I'm still figuring out the basic shapes before I push and pull them. but I do want most characters in this story to have a huge range of expression and have a lot of room, a lot of squash and stretch for them to make crazy faces. This one's smaller because I'm actually going to draw her body. Wouldn't it be an ironic touch if she had a pet that was a bit strange? She mentioned she's a straight man type in a wacky environment, with small details of her life were casually wacky. Yeah, I think it would make sense if she had, like, instead of a dog or a cat, she had some thing that she picked up while she was out. Who would you cast to voice her? What an incredible question. I think the only specific voice acting thing that I've thought of that I've told Veronica is if there was a flashback and Drell was a child, a young Drell would be voiced by Tara Strong. But that's just a joke about how Tara Strong voices every 8-year-old boy in a flashback of every animated movie that's ever been made. She could get a were-hamster from the moon. Are you drawing her doing 6'7"? We could. It's always in the cards that we could draw her doing 6'7". Man, who would be a good voice for her though? I feel like I did have someone in mind at some point. Drell, I know. I haven't drawn Drell on stream as much. But I definitely would want him to be voiced by Leslie Nielsen. Or, you know, someone that sounds like Leslie Nielsen. Because I love The Naked Gun. And him being an ex-cop in a weird world is a lot based on The Naked Gun. Your Amethyst voice from Steven Universe? That could be good. Yeah, I do think someone with a kind of a... I do think she would have not like a... I don't even know what I'm saying. I'm trying to think of how I would describe her voice, but I don't even know. Sometimes I just start talking. Who voices Fiona in Fiona and Cake? Madeline Martin. That sort of voice. That sort of voice is something I could imagine for her. I'm trying to think of how you would describe it, because it's not like... It's just like, because it's not deep. There's nothing deep about her voice, but it's not, it's like a little bit a slightly lower register than like a typical super feminine voice. And I don't really have the vocabulary to explain it, but if that makes sense. And I want to draw some sort of outfit for her right now. I don't know exactly what. Definitely drawing too much of her face before I draw her body. And I'm saying that out loud because I know that I should draw more of the pose before I get too lost in other detail. But I'm not following that knowledge. I'm not following my own advice there. Out of my thought right now is that I would draw her with a graphic tee. I think Explo talked about that. There's a comic book superhero in our world that me and Veronica came up with, called the New Green Hero, which it came to be because at our local game store, there were some people talking, I think, about Star Wars Unlimited, and a new set came out, and someone said, yo, did you see the New Green Hero? But we didn't have the context that it was about a card game, so the idea of a comic book about a superhero called the New Green Hero is one of the funniest things I've ever heard. So New Green Hero is definitely a popular comic book in this world. So I'll probably draw her in a graphic t-shirt of the New Green Hero. How smart is Funry? I know it's a trope to make your main characters overly smart or dumb, but what you described, it makes Funry, it looks like Funry makes naive mistakes than dumb ones. Yeah, I think she would, if anything, she'd be a bit more naive than dumb, but I think she's a relatively competent person. I think she handles herself well in a lot of situations because she doesn't get flustered that easily. But I think she's competent enough that she doesn't come off as dumb, but she's definitely not a genius. Does she know 2 plus 2? Certainly. She's definitely 2 plus 2 level. Not an artist, but I do get a lot of comms. I find that getting too lost in the weeds about details just kind of ends in frustration. That's a lot of feeling in the early stages. Maybe just go by feeling. Yeah, I do think that's generally the way to go, is you just gotta see whatever actually feels right. Trying too hard is I mean, you just get stuck trying to make things perfect. New green hair is a great idea. I love how ideas like that just come up from thin air. Yeah, it's really, a lot of stuff is just me thinking something is kind of funny and writing it down. Both the main characters in this story, Funry and Drell Freely. Funry, I told you at the start of the stream how that name came to be, and I just wrote it down and then eventually gave it to this character. And then Drell Freely, I was just driving and then I thought the name Drell Freely, and then at a red light I wrote it down on my phone real quick because like, well, I gotta remember that. And then like a year later, I gave the name to, because I did some drawing of like the first drawing that was supposed to be Drell. Let me see if I can find it. I bet I can pretty easily. Find the original Drell. Yeah, this was the first ever drawing of Drell, and I drew this, and I was like, oh, well, I mean, that's Drell Freely. This is the character who the name has been waiting for. I like this drawing a lot, and a lot of my struggle with designing Drell has just been trying to make this energy into a character that I can recreate. And eventually I realized I cannot recreate this on command. There's too much just like raw energy that I got from not trying that I cannot figure out again. So he has changed a bit, but Drell is also a more stoic character than I think this guy conveys. So I think it's probably for the best that he's changing. But he also needs some work. I don't really know what to do with his hair. Kind of why he's bald right here. But he'll get there. What's Funry's last name? I don't think I've ever said it out loud. In my head, it's Leeds. It's always been there. I don't know where it came from. When I watched Spider-Man, I realized that Ned's last name, or Ned's name is Ned Leeds. Maybe that's where I got it from. I don't know. I don't know if that's canon, but it's certainly the name that is in my head. Proto Drell crawled so Drell 1.0 could walk, and someday Drell's gonna run. Leeds, the first one. And no rhyme or reason for that name. It's just sort of in my head. Which, I guess, how else do you name a character, right? Funry Leeds is kind of cool, though. Maybe. I don't know. Her story could be called Funry Leads the Way. That's actually very good. Yeah, the comic doesn't really have a name yet. More vague ideas. The game, the first full story that she's going to be in before I write a comic is called Drell Freely in Werewolves on the Moon Never Turn Back. But I don't know if what I would call the comic. Funry, what's up? That's Veronica. Tony Garbage in the chat. That's, if I ever mentioned Veronica, that's who. But yeah, we've been playing around with some Funry stuff. There's a little drill there. I don't know what to do with Drill's hair. Call it comic number 2? That could hit. It'd be comic number 2. Never Turn Back has a cool thematic link to Leads the Way. That's true. And Werewolves on the Moon is fun because it's like, I don't know, if we do something with it, it could be like a double meaning of never turn back, like a heroic thing, like never turn back, keep going. But it also means werewolves, by the fact that they are on the moon never goes down, so that they never turn back into humans. Won't be saying much since I'm driving back home, but I'm excited to hear you talk about the game. Yeah, a little bit of talk about the game. I do not recommend fully drawing a character's head before you draw their body. I kind of mentioned that already. I want to reiterate that. This is not, I don't think this is a good process. I think you should block in all the little parts of the pose before you start adding details. It's not a hard rule, but I think it is generally good advice. Are they exterminating the werewolves or containing them to be taken off the moon? I think it's way stupider than that. It's hard to know even exactly where this story goes, but I think it's more, there's a whole werewolf society on the moon, and they're not really a problem, but there's some shit going on where some werewolf is like, you gotta help. There's something bad going up on the moon. And some werewolf wants to get into the Bone Temple to become the king of the moon or something. And it's gonna be dumb, but you know, whatever. If you drew a head first, it's because your soul wanted it. That's true. And who am I to say no to my very soul? Hello, I'm drawing alongside of you. My objective is to finish posing half a character until the end of the stream. Hard and impossible. I wish you luck. I'm glad you're drawing along. Hopefully my rambling and my really great playlist, I think we can all agree, is conducive to a good art environment. I've been doing some more work on the side, trying to figure out how I want to draw Funry's body. I think I'm getting closer to a consistent idea. I think in general, I've not really been very similar anytime I've drawn her body. But I want her to be fairly short, and I think this general shape for her torso is what I'm going for. There's not like, she's not super distinctly curvy anywhere. She's just sort of, I don't know. I don't know. She just looks, she's normal. She's normal, okay? She's just a normal girl. She's so hard to describe. And when I do describe her, I don't know if it sounds particularly interesting. But I don't, yeah, it doesn't fit to me that she would have like anything close to a femme fatale sort of build. That doesn't really make sense to me. So she's kind of rectangle woman, yeah. How irritable is Funry? I know she's not a very annoyed person, but there are some things that could tank your mood. What would that be for her? I think she's definitely prone to getting irritated. I think she's someone who will get bored, and maybe she gets bored more often than most people even, because she views her life as being a lot more normal than it is. So I think she'd probably get bored, and I think when she gets bored, she'll probably get restless. And when she's restless, she certainly can upgrade to being actually irritated with people. I think she probably teases Drell a lot because he's very serious and takes things very seriously in a way that she doesn't. So they might butt heads in that way. Frankly, I'm kind of new to this. I've only... any OC lore that I've ever had has always been something that I've never actually shared, ever. Gotta say, Drell sort of looks like Helltaker. Oh yeah. Drell's got a lot of Helltaker energy. I mean, the little glasses, and Helltaker doesn't have a mustache. But he definitely has that Helltaker energy. I think the difference is that Drell is gonna be a little bit more disheveled, and he's kind of chubby and just, I don't know. He's not like a strong, or he's not like ripped. Like Helltaker is he looks like a bodybuilder, where Drell is probably a little bit more of a fat, strong kind of old man. But yeah, I didn't realize how much he looked like Helltaker until recently. But I do love Helltaker. I like Van Ripper, so I'm not surprised those ideas were floating around in there. Out of shape or kind of in shape? I think there's definitely muscle there, but it's under some fat. So he's like And he's the kind of guy who works out fairly regularly, but doesn't like have a good diet. I don't know if he even would actively exercise anymore, or it would be just like when he was younger, he was really strong, and he's still kind of active, but he's let himself go in a lot of ways. The way I've interpreted my OC lore is that I can tell stories and stuff, share whatever, by twisting the basis from how it might have happened IRL. Yeah. I think just kind of being willing to... I mean, it's with OCs a lot of the times, they don't have, like... They don't have a book, they don't have a movie, they just exist in your head. The story exists however you want it to. So you might as well just do what feels right. Very important. Does he work out responsibly, or is he the type of guy who all he does is upper body stuff like lifting? I could definitely see him in his as his life changes and as he gets older and he starts to slack off more. I can see him being someone who just only really he just stops doing most things and just does something that he's still good at. Like maybe at some point he just stopped with cardio altogether. Fat Strong Full Metal Alchemist Butcher, or Fat Strong Clyde with a Chance of Meatballs Dad? Yeah, I mean Clyde with a Chance of Meatballs Dad is definitely more him. I mean look at it, look at this. Look at this face. That's a good spectrum. Did he occasionally skip leg day or exclusively skips leg day? I mean, his design is much more upper body focused than lower body focused, so it might have been a minute since he's done leg day. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want her to be... I don't even know what I want her to be doing. Always hard for me to choose what to do with arms. Going back to that scar idea, would the viewer see how Funry got the nasty scar? Would that happen way before the event of the story? I think my basic idea is I want to start by doing smaller one-off stories that are kind of in the middle of the grander story of the whole thing, and then eventually hunker down and do a longer comic about the origin of how she got her job and started doing all the things that she does. But it would be more of a prologue thing to a wealth of episodic stories. So the origin stuff would come a little bit later, when I've had a little bit more practice at storytelling.
The Theory Crafty Artsy versus the Executor Ewok, a battle as old as time.
It's all theory. Executing things is probably usually a little bit harder than actually doing than thinking about doing things. My goal is to actually do the thing.
There's Funry Curse. Not like a potty mouth, like word spices, or does she use other words that make her dialogue wackier? Like a nasty little bugger got my back or something like that?
I think she would curse. She would just swear. I don't think it would be a big deal there. I don't know how much swearing I would generally put into my writing, because it is important to me that a lot of ages that kids could comfortably read or get into stories that I make, because I think the coolest people in the world make art for kids to enjoy, which I don't think is probably a rare opinion for someone who loves cartoons, but I think one of the most noble things you can do ever is dedicate your life to doing things for kids. So I do generally probably want to make family-friendly things.
Oh, when she cursed, to accidentally curse someone without her knowledge is a funny scene transition gag.
That could be something. There's an idea. We could put it in like a Family Guy cutaway. What kind of YouTube channels would Funry watch? I feel like nowadays Funry probably watches more shorts than anything else. She watches shorts, she watches like cooking shorts. She'd probably be the type of person who saves them and never actually cooks any of them. But she convinces herself that she would. I definitely think that she is probably a kind of addicted to scrolling. Shorts and H-Bomber Guy documentaries just strike the perfect balance. Yeah, exactly. If she's ever actually looking at her phone while she's watching YouTube, she's just scrolling shorts and whatever comes up in her algorithm comes up. And then she watches 6-hour-long video essays while she does something else on the other monitor. And barely pays attention to the actual content. Which is to say, kind of normal. Kind of how you would expect a lot of people to be with YouTube nowadays. It's just like me for real. Am I a Zoomer? It comes for us all. It's really hard not to get addicted to short form stuff. Is Funnery in school, like college, or is this like a summer job for her? Would she be in school? Maybe. I think she's probably at an age where it would be expected for her to be in school. I think she's probably in her early 20s. So maybe that's not, I don't know. She's in, I don't. She probably started school and then stopped. And just like plans on doing it later. Maybe she will. Probably she won't. Doing a lot. Doing too much here for something that doesn't really matter. Maybe she can be pointing at her shirt. It's kind of the idea, is I wanted her to be wearing a shirt with the new Green Hero on it. Okay, now I have to think of what the new green hero looks like. I definitely, in my head, he's like got like a Power Rangers, Kamen Rider, Super Sentai thing going on. He's being designed on the shirt. On the fly. And eventually I'll make a New Green Hero spin-off comic. He's probably going to be a fan favorite character. Even though I don't know if he's a real character. I think he's going to be fictional in the fictional world. But I don't know that for sure yet. There could be a real New Green Hero. I kinda want to do this now. New Green Hero is such an insanely funny concept to me. I'm going to try to freehand bubble letters. Latest New Green Hero issue recalled from shelves after misprint makes him red. Colorblind fans claim they didn't notice a difference. That is really funny. We might have to take that. Green. That looks like it says green. I don't know how you make it not look like a C. Oh man. I feel like it's so ugly. Maybe it was fine. No, it's ugly. What the hell? Uh... Wait. I'm close. I'm cooking. Green. Sure. You're drawing it? I thought you were about to make him do the Fantastic Four pose. Maybe I should've. Well, this is the New Green Hero's classic pose, though. This is, of course, the first time he's ever been drawn, but... Isn't that what makes it classic? Was there ever an old Green Hero? I'm not sure. Eventually, just because I'm me. If I ever do another game after our little RPG, I would obviously love to make a fighting game with these characters. Ever played Half-Life? I've played a little bit of Half-Life 2, I think. Or maybe Black Mesa. But I never grew up with Half-Life. So it's my friend got me to play the start of one of them, and I never got very far in it. So it's always been a bit of a gaming blind spot for me. Love gaming, they fight. That's what I'm trying to be. I don't know if any of you guys have played or explored much 2D Fighter Maker projects. Stuff like Pokemon Close Combat is probably the biggest modern one. But 2D Fighter Maker is getting rollback. It already kind of has it. I just don't think it's public yet. But maybe it is. I don't know. I haven't checked in a second. But I would love to just make a 2D Fighter Maker game with these characters where you can finally play as the new Green Hero in a fighting game. Make my 2D fighters in Night Sky Engine because I love Rin. She's my hero. She does good work. Two Fighter Maker's main problem is just that it's kind of ancient. But there's a passionate community for it that will teach people how to make games. And I think it'll become a really attractive option if it just has rollback in it through Lilithport. Not getting tired of hearing New Green Hero? Joke is for back of a letter word, or lack of a better word, evergreen. It is the funniest thing I've ever come up with. And we didn't really come up with it. We just heard the word New Green Hero, and I was like, that's funny. What I did for it really is just make it a comic book character. When researching an engine, I remember a lot of people saying the input for it is kind of ass because of how old it is. Yeah, there's a Discord, a 2D Fighter Maker Discord that started a year or two ago for people to figure out how to actually get around it and make it work. But Reader, there's definitely some rougher 2D Fighter Maker games, but close combat really makes it work. The Untitled Risk of Rain fighting game, also a newer project. That one's pretty cool. Love to make a fighting game with my characters. Proceeds to make the most unbalanced characters ever. I love how you draw eyes. Thank you. I got a few of them here. Yeah, eyes are... I think everyone knows that eyes are one of the most engaging parts of anybody's art style. Even when they're really simple. Like, even someone whose art style just uses dot eyes, that can be a very... It almost always, if you have dot eyes, is a extremely striking visual choice. So, you know, put some work into your eyes. It'll probably be worth it. Or at least some thought. It's not eyebrow snip canon? It could be. I don't know if it is yet. I have to play around with everything. I do think the scar, some sort of scar on her back is probably canon already though, even if I haven't done it yet. That's just a good idea. That fits thematically. Does her hair have to grow 1% each time you draw her? Is that just in your DNA? It's impossible to know. Her hair, anytime I draw a character's hair, the specifics of where it goes are up to God more than it is up to me. They have a life of their own. They make their own decisions. Doing God's work. Let's put some color on this. I don't think I've colored like anything since I started streaming again. I don't want to do anything complicated. Just like a little bit of simple coloring. Since I haven't colored anything here before, you might not know, but she is blonde. I'll have to make an official color guide for her. For, you know, maybe you guys, if you ever want to draw her. But also for me, because I don't know. I'm coloring things quickly, especially nowadays. I like to just do it with the lasso tool. One, because it's fast. Two, because I don't do clean lines to fill them in afterwards. And I have a paper texture screen protector now, and if I color it in all the way, it is going to absolutely destroy all my pen nibs. Blonde character that is neither evil or a prick, I think that's illegal. Oh, but I raise you Marin from My Dress Up Darling. So, touche. Could you draw Funry's hair all messed up, like when waking up? That's a good idea. I bet we could fit in a little bit of that right before the end. She isn't in a cartoon, though? That depends on who you ask. My hair looked like a red spider lily when waking up. Googling that. I don't have the red spider lily committed to memory. Red spider lily. Okay, I get what you're talking about. I understand the mission now. She'd look electrified. Yeah, maybe she's not a morning person. I thought for a second, what color should this shirt be? I think that might have been a stupid question in hindsight. Let's keep it the same hue. Call her to make the new green hero? Teal. Teal could be a good option. Oh, so now that just because he's called the green hero means he has to be green? Yeah. Eventually I'll need to start actually making comics because people come in and I just keep getting deeper into character lore and world building. People are gonna get confused.
Just because he's a Black Panther doesn't mean he needs to be. Yeah, it's a good point. Though it does remind me. Does remind me of this. Excited, man? I'm getting hyperfixated. Good. I think that's an important thing for your story success, for people to be hyperfixated on it. Ideally, this story gets big enough that it starts to have a Twitter community that is unbearable to be a part of. But not because the thing's bad, just because it's so good that the community is too big that it becomes impossible to interact with. You know what I mean. And it gets picked up by Glitch, obviously. What's the lore on Glitch? I don't know if there's much lore. I think it's just, if anyone's random story from the internet is going to get picked up and turned into a series, it's probably going to be Glitch that does it. Glitch, the animation studio, of course. Would you want your story to be produced / animated by Glitch or doing solo? Well, if it came to animation, I could never do it by myself. So I would not refuse them. So much lighter than what I thought. Yeah, I can see that. She's very pale. She is it may be heartbreaking to some. I've not even thought. But to some, it could be a heartbreaker that Funry is white, and I have to be ready for that. Oh, and who's that? Mossy? Thanks for the sub. Disc is here. How's it going? We've been learning so much about the world of this. I just finished dinner and figured I'd hop on. Sweet.
meaning to ask, does she have a main outfit yet, or just a general clothing style? Not specifically. I think I haven't really figured out her fashion sense just yet. But I do, her like main outfit is going to be her work uniform. So I gotta figure that out, which is gonna be some combination of just like a button up and a jacket and slacks, which I'll probably find some way for her to up style so that it's a little bit more messy and casual and shows more of her personality. And then what she wears just in general, I don't know, she's definitely gonna be pretty casual. She's got the new Green Hero on her shirt. I've been imagining Funry in Splatoon 2's slop suit, because I didn't know what she did until today. That makes sense. Yeah, I haven't talked much about her job specifically, because it's a little hard to explain for me. But she basically, I think I mentioned before, but she just like gets... She and Darrell get hired to do odd jobs, different things in a weird science fantasy version of our world. Alright, now I said I would draw her bedhead. And I meant it, so it will happen. You have the name of the company they work at? Not specific. I actually haven't really thought about that specifically. It would probably just have Darrell Freely's name on the sign, but I haven't thought specifically. So I'll have to think about that and get back to you. Freely's? I mean, Freely makes sense. Slapping PD on the back of his name is enough for most worlds. True. I don't think I want to draw her yawning. I think she's not a morning person. Probably doesn't like getting up to go to work. Definitely a snooze spammer type of a person. Did you put your comic on Webtoon? Probably. Probably just start by posting it on socials. But if I start writing something bigger, then I'd find somewhere like that to put it. Loves the job. Hey, wake up for it, of course. Young Shreezy. Boot up Scratch right now. Fine. We're getting crazy. She'd be like, you know what, maybe she should be like, how do I make her hair look crumpled? Maybe that's the thing. I feel like that makes it look like she wakes up with her hair curly, which it could be. Yeah, so I guess this is her, where she fell asleep with the bun still in. It was kind of loose and falling apart. And there's a bunch of strands sticking out of it. How light or heavy does Funner sleep? Both can be used for comedic purposes. Definitely. Probably very heavy. He probably has some like big old alarm clock that's separate from her phone, that's loud as fuck, that she puts on the other side of her room. So she has to actually get out of bed to turn it off. SpongeBob alarm. Exactly. Except SpongeBob's trying to get up. You can know the color of someone's soul just by seeing if they undo their hair before bed. This means Funry's perp. Heard. I mean, I'm whatever exactly that means, I fully believe it. This will just be easier for me if I do this way. Well, no, we don't want to need that. Nothing, just saying words so I can procrastinate on the drawing, of course. Naturally. If you pay attention, you can see me doing that a lot, especially at the start of a stream. Funry has the perseverance soul. That sounds good. Wiz, do you have something specific that you're drawing? Are you just like practicing or something? If you don't mind my asking. And if anyone else happens to be drawing while watching and wants to share, feel free. Drawing my two mashup characters trying to play the Go board game. Okay. Those kind of poses are always really difficult for me. Just drawing multiple characters in a scene, doing something, especially something with their hands like that. That's pretty tricky. I'd like to make a short animation of Funry and Drell. Can you tell me their dynamic? Yeah, their Funry is. Alright, let's see. Drell, he's an ex-cop, private investigator kind of guy. He's very serious, but he's serious in a way that he acts like a character from a movie. Like he like thinks of himself as a noir detective. It's I don't know. He thinks of himself as a really big deal, but he's kind of a quiet person. He just will take things seriously and monologue to himself and stuff. And Funry is much more normal, remarkably normal, and she sees the world in a very opposite way of Drell, because she sees even crazy things as very whatever most of the time. So their dynamic is Funry definitely would tease Drell about the way that he is so exaggerated about everything. But his actual personality is just like the stereotypical idea of a noir detective who smokes a cigarette in the rain in a black and white street. Does that make sense? They like each other. Funry just teases him. They have they're very close. They have kind of a familial relationship eventually, where there's a big. He's a lot older than her, so it's. I don't know if it's exactly like a fatherly relationship, or just like a brother sister thing, with the way that they might bicker. Now, if you can't tell, this is another thing I haven't put into words very clearly. You know, the character designs are good because this matches pretty closely to what I had in mind based on their art. Good stuff. Well, thank you. Thank you, my friend. Is Drell fully drawn on Twitter? Don't want to get his design wrong. I think I did recently. Yeah. In this stream schedule thing from last week, this is kind of the idea. I don't have a good reference for him right now, but that's close. That's kind of what he looks like right now. It's just they might change. I'm glad you like it. Take a screenshot of that then? Go for it. I'll try soon. I will try to, you know, make a real reference sheet with both of them. I think I'm getting close to at least making a first draft of a reference. And then, of course, the characters will change as time goes on, but that's to be expected. Can't wait to make a reference until they're perfect in a way that will never change, because that's never going to happen. Everything does change. And we'll have a This is the alarm clock beeping. Would the soup meme be good? Where you buying clothes at the soup store? Yeah, I think that could be really funny. I think that could be cute. I approve that idea.
Marble thing is not weird, by the way. It's just my favorite Key and Peele episode. The marble thing seems to have not shown up in my little YouTube chat thing here. Sometimes messages don't show up, and I do want to know why that would be. I'll have to do some actual research into figuring out how the hell this works, because I feel like there's mysteries of this chat that I don't actually understand. Whoa. I've opened a window full of things. Oh, is on your question about what I'm drawing? Curious. We're on main messages or live chat? Oh, what the hell? There's live chat. Oh. Ways you saved me. Now I can see everything. One of them will eat the white pieces because they look like marbles. She likes the sensation of marbles in her mouth. Yeah, I do know that Key and Peele sketch. Main message uses a very odd algorithm to decide what's going to show or not. Weird. Okay, well now I'll never miss a message again. That means that stream on Saturday, when there was 10,000 different meows being thrown into the chat the entire time, the algorithm that decided those were top chat messages was like, yep, all 7,000 meows are necessary viewing content. Not to hate on the meows had their moment, but that moment has passed. The new green hero is here. Alright, well I think we did some good work today. I think I'm liking a lot of where she's going. Whoa, look at that. Looks pretty cool, really. I don't know why I'm moving everything around, but it just feels like the thing to do. So this way, maybe I can put everything on the screen. She's astral projecting. Do you think my strategy of spamming heart emojis when you drew a girl during the Street Fighter stream worked? I'm sure it did. I'm sure now it'll always roll a girl. This was fun. I like drawing the bedhead. That was a good idea. I do think I might wrap it up here though. Next time maybe we'll do some work on Drell. maybe use that as an excuse to also work on her work uniform and stuff, because it's got to mirror him. You see that old drill at the bottom? Yeah, I brought him in for show and tell. We got to figure out finalizing the new drill. And once I have him, then his outfit will be used to make the uniform that Funry wears, and then I can make actual reference pages and give them to the world. Are we approaching the end? I didn't even start a single pose. Well, that's the way the cookie has crumbled today. So excited to see new drill. I'm excited to see him too. Who knows how he'll end up. Alright. Well, I'll probably post one or two of these on Twitter. Maybe I'll post them on Instagram. Blue Sky. Drell Rebirth. New 52 Drell will be coming. You're welcome for the stream. Thank you guys for coming to hang out. I had a really good time. I hope you did too. I will be back tomorrow. Same time. Maybe a little bit earlier. I was a little bit late today. But who cares, right? Me, I should probably care. I'll try to be here at 7:30 Eastern time tomorrow. If you're on a different time than Eastern time, I would convert it from Eastern time to your time to know the time that I'll be live, which is again 7:30 Eastern tomorrow. Okay, thanks everyone, have a good night, and here is your bear